Lesson 2. Primal energy, as was explained in the first lesson, is the fundamental force of the universe. It underlies, pervades, and sustains everything, fills all space, endures throughout eternity, and is the source of all power. It is indeed the very life of the universe. As such, it is in perpetual motion, expressing itself through what are called vibrations. In the absolute, there is only one kind of vibration, the spiritual. In the present state of human consciousness, those spiritual vibrations appear as a threefold ray. Life vibrations, magnetic; mind vibrations, mental; soul vibrations, spiritual. The present state of human consciousness, called the triune state, acts like a prism through which we see those spiritual vibrations divided into three distinct rays, according to three planes: the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. And each kind of vibration is expressing itself in a different way, which conforms to its own particular laws. Yet they all come from, and return to, the same source, and have one universal law, called the Great Law, underlying all the other individual laws which govern them. Just as the prismatic lens splits into its component colors the white ray of the sun, so does the prism of our triune state of consciousness resolve the universal spiritual vibrations into their three primary aspects: life, or magnetic vibrations, and mind, or mental vibrations, can be readily demonstrated by us at any time. Life vibrations, being the immediate object of our understanding, are naturally the easiest to deal with, as they belong to the physical plane on which we now live. Mind vibrations are more difficult to handle, because we do not live completely on the mental plane. The proof that we do not yet live completely on the mental plane is that our thoughts must all be translated into material form in order to become tangible to our senses. As to what concerns the spiritual vibrations, only on rare occasions do we consciously contact them. Seldom do we perceive the spirit now, though we are unconsciously in direct and constant relation with it. In the 6th lesson will be explained the science of mental vibrations, and in the 7th lesson how to reach the highest, the spiritual life vibrations, also called magnetic vibrations, because they possess that fundamental quality of attraction. In the 1st lesson, when describing primal energy, it was stated that it possesses two primary qualities: motion and attraction. In the practical application of magnetic vibrations, those qualities are continually used in order to obtain the desired constructive results. Magnetic vibrations are essentially important because they not only permeate the whole universe and underlie everything, but because they constitute the very element out of which our bodies and the whole visible universe is made. The great practical value of those life vibrations is that we do not need concentration or strong mental effort to contact them. All we need to do is to become conscious of their continual flow into us, and thus establish the so-called contact. No matter what we do, be it a physical, mental, or emotional activity, we should never use our own very limited supply of life energy. This must be the cardinal point always to be remembered. We should always take the trouble to make the contact with the universal reservoir of that force. Then the more we use it, the more we have, because it is the everlasting font of life which always gives us more than we can receive. The question may arise: why is it necessary to make that contact with the universal life energy? Are we not in direct and constant communication with it at all times? Yes, we are, but we are not conscious of it. On the contrary, We consciously believe that we are independent of it, that we have a life force of our own. We think we are separated from all power, and as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Therefore we need to re-establish on the mental plane that which was lost there, though actually we have never lost that contact on the spiritual plane. Spirit knows that contact to be an eternal fact. On the physical plane one feels it. But mind, on the mental plane on which were produced all the mistakes and errors ever made, because of that original error of seeming separation from all power, believes in separation, and thus makes it real. As long as we are not conscious of that flow of universal life energy through us, we do not derive much benefit from it, even though it is there. There are different methods of contacting primal energy. The easiest and the simplest way is through mental contact. In order to do it, we must relax as completely as we can, physically, mentally, and emotionally. And when we feel harmony within us as a result of that relaxation, then we must say to ourselves the following words. I am one with universal life energy. IT is flowing through me now. I feel IT. Thus we open the mental door which separated the life force within us from the life energy without. And the force within, because of its inherent quality of attraction, contacts the force from without, which then begins to pour into us with an ever-increasing power. Then the more we use that force, the more it is supplied from the infinite source. In spite of the simplicity of the method, not everybody is at first able to use it successfully, because of the doubt which some people may entertain in their hearts of the efficiency of such a mental contact. We must also remember that on the mental plane we are a law unto ourselves. If we believe in a thing, and state our faith in it, it will be so. But if we doubt or fear, we ourselves thus prevent its realization. In order to overcome that difficulty and enable everybody, even the most skeptical and timid, to make successfully that conscious contact with the universal life energy, there is another method which will be explained, a method of pure physical contact, based on the operation of physical laws. That second method has this advantage over the mental one, that it does not require any faith in it. It works for the reason that the physical laws are there put into operation, and the physical contact with the universal energy is made, not because we think it or want it, but because we cannot help it. Obviously, if we also think about that universal life energy flowing through us at the moment of physical contact with it, it will work all the better. Yet if we do not think at all about it, it still will work, because of the aforesaid reasons. That second, the physical method, is based on a certain exercise, called the star exercise. The reason why this posture is called the star exercise is because the individual, when taking it, has to place his body in such a position that it will fit into the 5 points of a star. The 5-pointed star, the emblem of the humanity of today, the occult sign of the 5th period of humanity's evolution, is also called the pentagram. According to the alchemists of medieval times, the pentagram was considered to be the key to all powers. The philosopher's stone, the elixir of life, and many other wonderful things were supposed to be obtained whenever that sign was properly used. Yet the alchemists, though perceiving the truth back of that sign, saw only its geometrical form. That is, the dead letter of it, which had no actual power. The living force back of it, the spirit of it, remained veiled to them. In this age, the veil is lifted, and the complete truth, spirit and letter, is revealed. And the mysterious sign, The pentagram becomes indeed a key to all power, as it unlocks and brings forth in man all his latent powers and forces. It is when the human body takes the position as shown in the diagrams following that the actual contact of the life energy within is made with the universal life energy without. And a man's physical, mental, and emotional development will be thus stimulated by an ever-increasing force. Standing straight, but relaxed, with legs spread to a degree corresponding to the design, the arms stretched to either side on a level with the shoulders, and with head erect, the human body will fit into the five-pointed star. Even the proportions of a normally built body will correspond to the figure of the star. The head fits into the upper point, the two arms into the two side points, the torso into the center, and the legs into the two lower points. The palm of the left hand should be turned up, and that of the right turned down. The whole body must remain erect, but not tense. The heart, situated on the left side of the human body, is not only the central pumping station which takes in and sends out the blood through the whole body, but is also the apparatus which sucks in and pours out life energy. The palm of the left hand, turned up, draws in through its complicated network of nerves the universal energy present in the surrounding atmosphere. That drawing action is due to the pumping activity of the heart, and the stream of life force pours into the body because of the attraction exercised on it by the inner life force of the body itself. Through the hand, arm, and heart the life energy flows to the solar plexus, whence it is distributed by way of the spinal nerve throughout the whole body. A certain amount of it is stored in the solar plexus, and the surplus sent out through the right hand, whose palm is turned down. It is especially through the fingertips of the right hand that the force is flowing out of the body toward the earth, which attracts it because of the same law of attraction. Thus is established a current of universal energy, penetrating from the infinite source into the human body, invigorating and purifying it, and flowing out of it only to return with ever-increasing power. The left palm, turned up, takes the position of a receiving hand, and the right, with palm turned down, appears to bless. In fact, this is so. Our left hand receives all blessings from the infinite, which our being, having assimilated, in its turn gives out as blessings through the right hand. Not only through the left hand does the life force penetrate into the body, it pours in also through every cell, and very strongly through the solar plexus. Yet during the exercise the main current is received as stated above. Shortly after having taken the position, one begins to feel a certain heaviness in the palm of the left hand. It is as if a heavy ball were pressing on the palm, and one is sensible of a kind of tingling in the finer tips of the right hand. These two different sensations are due to the influx and outpouring of life force. Thus the individual feels that the contact is established. There are a few more important points to be remembered in connection with that exercise. The best times to perform it are in the morning, immediately after getting up, before doing anything else, and at night before going to bed. When performed in the morning, this exercise will stimulate all one's physical, mental, and emotional activities because of the ascending magnetic currents of the new day, which impregnate their local color in the exercise. In the evening, on the contrary, the same exercise produces an opposite effect. It soothes and disposes one to sleep, in harmony with all nature, because of the downward curve of the local magnetic currents. 3 to 5 minutes is all that is needed to perform the star exercise. For beginners, it would be inadvisable to do it longer, because of the very strong import of magnetic forces. But later on, when the body becomes accustomed to that inflow of magnetic currents, the duration of the star exercise can be prolonged to 15 minutes, and the exercise taken more than twice a day. During that exercise, one ought to be dressed as lightly as possible, in order to leave the body free and without pressure on any part of it. A body without any covering is of course the most responsive. The exercise should be performed in front of an open window, and, if the temperature and circumstances permit, out of doors. The star exercise should never be taken immediately after a meal. At least an hour must elapse between the two. Otherwise a most violent nausea, and sometimes indigestion, may result, as the magnetic current has the same effect on digestion as an electrical storm has on milk. It curdles the food in process of digestion because of its strong chemical action. Deep, rhythmic breathing is very helpful in connection with the exercise because of the stimulating effect of the oxygen. In the beginning, one's arms may feel tired in the performance of the exercise. No effort should be used to keep the arms up in their proper position. Let them drop and lift them again when rested. Otherwise, the tension of the muscles and nerves resulting from a prolonged forced elevation of the arms will counteract, to a great extent, the flow of the force through them. The exercise works so automatically that there is no imperative need to think about the force flowing through the body. It will flow anyway, because of the law of attraction. There is no necessity of turning the face north, because the points of the compass are of no importance to those who use universal energy, which is limitless. The star exercise is exceedingly beneficial to children. It stimulates all of their bodies, especially their brain centers, and those glands which play such an important role in their growth and development. It also harmonizes their emotional side with the rest of their being, and establishes strength and poise where before was weakness and restlessness. The star exercise ought to become a part of the daily routine for everyone, young and old, sick or healthy, weak or strong. It is to be carried on regularly through all one's life, to the very end, and the surprising positive results will exceed the most sanguine expectations. It is like watering a plant with life itself, so that it should grow with an ever-increasing vigor. It is indeed life, in its strongest and purest form, that one is able to contact through the star exercise, and use for the greatest unfoldment of one's body, mind, and soul. For some time in the beginning that process of unfoldment may be rather slow. But one must persevere, and complete success will be the reward of that perseverance. When using magnetic vibrations, faith is not necessary. One can do without it. Nevertheless, faith is very helpful. The so-called miraculous healings performed on large crowds who come to be cured by some of the evangelist healers is one of the easiest things to perform. It is much more difficult to heal patients singly. Each person in the crowd carries within him a certain light of faith, an open channel for the life force to flow through. Individually, these do not amount to much, but when counted by hundreds or maybe thousands, they become a great light, a tremendous power, a broad avenue of faith, over which the magnetic life force is then conveyed as well to each individual singly as to the whole crowd collectively. There each person is benefited by the addition to his own little faith of all the other faiths present. Naturally, the result thus obtained is usually a great success. Primal energy, as was explained in the first lesson, has two fundamental qualities, motion and attraction. In its aspect of life energy, it has also two other qualities. First, it is self-governing. Second, it is basically harmonious. Like all elements, life energy is self-governing. Physical laws, expressing themselves through the elements, are back of that self-government. For instance, water contained in a vessel, no matter what position that vessel may take, will always automatically maintain a level parallel to that of the sea. The air will rush into a vacuum through the most minute opening. Mercury, when broken into small particles, automatically takes the form of spheres, etc. Elements always choose the path of least resistance and seek equilibrium. The quality of self-government which life energy possesses is exceptionally practicable and valuable, and simplifies greatly the use of it. The following examples will explain how it works. Suppose there are two individuals, sitting one on the right side, the other on the left side of the operator. The one on the right side, for some reason, feels very cold. The one on the left, hot. In order to re-establish normal conditions in the two, all the operator needs to do is to make the mental contact with universal life energy, and then take in each of his hands a hand of either patient. The contact thus established, the force flows through the operator to his patients. Being self-governed, the force automatically works to meet the requirements of the case. In the first instance it warms, in the second it cools, thus simultaneously establishing equilibrium in both. Especially in healing does this quality become invaluable. It does away almost entirely with the necessity of knowing the nature and location of the ailment. All one needs to do, in magnetic treatment, is to let the force flow into the patient. And the force, being self-governing, will always go to the spot where it is needed. For instance, a patient complains of heart trouble. The operator sends the magnetic force into the patient. The force itself discovers in the patient some other unsuspected and possibly more serious ailments, perhaps in the lungs or kidneys. It will then automatically flow more to the lungs or kidneys than to the heart, because of the greater need. That is why everybody, even children who are too young to know the mental laws operating in mental healing, can so successfully use the magnetic current. Primal energy, being the foundation of all there is by nature perfectly harmonious. Therefore, life energy, as its first aspect, must possess the same inherent quality. That is, it must be basically harmonious. It is mind alone which, when misdirected, covers that life energy with a negative film. But whenever that force is taken direct from its infinite source, there it flows, perfectly harmonious, healing, and constructive in every way. The magnetic current, when flowing from the infinite, carries with it such a sense of harmony that it harmonizes even the very channel through which it flows. That is the operator, although he may have felt quite inharmonious when starting the treatment. The last quality gives to the magnetic vibrations a great superiority over the mental ones, because no successful healing or other work can be achieved if the thoughts of the operator are not harmonious at the very start. The slightest disharmony on the plane of mind is most destructive to the subject on which the thought is operating. Most of the physical discomfort is caused by either congestion or lack of magnetic forces in certain parts of the body, and needs the contact with an outside magnetic current to re-establish equilibrium. For instance, a sudden shock makes one's heart contract. Life force is thrown out of it. As a result, one feels a pain in the heart. Involuntarily one's hand is pressed to the heart. The magnetic current of the body, sent out from the solar plexus through the hand, fills the heart with its vivifying power. The heart resumes its normal condition, and the pain is gone. Or again, everyone has observed that when one thinks deeply, one unconsciously rests one's head upon the hands. The reason for it is that the brain, when very active, either accumulates too much energy or not enough, in both cases having its functioning impaired. In either instance, the magnetic current is required to correct the discrepancy. Nature sees that it should be done. Instinctively, the hand is brought into contact with the head, and the magnetic current, flowing through the hand into the brain, or vice versa, re-establishes there the proper balance. The knowledge of how to contact and use the magnetic current is therefore so precious because it enables one consciously and scientifically to use that force whenever there is need of it. What nature makes us do instinctively, we can do with so much better results if we realize the laws back of it and know how to apply them. All human emotions have the magnetic force back of them, and the way that force works through them, being based on laws, is so scientific, so accurate, that one can at once determine the kind of emotion and how it should be met by the way it expresses itself. Generally speaking, all emotions, positive and negative, produce, in certain parts of the body which exactly correspond to the rate of vibration of each emotion, an accumulation of the magnetic force. Such accumulation of force makes the individual feel uncomfortable, and he unconsciously seeks demagnetization by contacting that part of his body with the part of another individual's body which will respond to the rate of vibration of his accumulated magnetic force. For instance, when one loves, the emotion of love stimulates life currents throughout all the body. Starting from the heart, the magnetic current by and by permeates all the body, but concentrates especially in certain centers of it which, through their delicate and complex formation, are more apt to express it. According to a physical law, all vibrations naturally rise upwards. That being the case, they rise first from the heart into the head. There they concentrate, especially in the eyes and around the lips. The pupils are enlarged, and the eyes begin to sparkle, sending out magnetic waves which seek the eyes of another individual in order to be demagnetized. The lips, in their turn, more and more filled with the life force, also unconsciously seek demagnetization, which they achieve through what is commonly known as a kiss. If the love of the two individuals is on the same plane, their lips will meet, because the magnetic currents are, in both instances, of the same rate, and seeking expression through the lips. But if the love of one individual is more of a mental type, his lips will seek demagnetization, not on the lips of the other individual, but on the forehead, the sayat of thinking powers. No other place on the face will do, because nowhere else could demagnetization take place on account of the different trait of vibration. Like attracts like. If one's love is of a more adoring kind, the lips, when charged with magnetic forces, will seek demagnetization probably on the hands of the other individual, or maybe on the knees, or even at the feet, again on account of like seeking like. With all other emotions it is the same. In friendship, one's natural desire is to shake hands with the individual one loves, or to put the hand on the shoulder or around the waist. There the hand, the power to achieve, filled with the magnetic current, unconsciously seeks demagnetization in another individual's hand. Or when the individual feels the emotion of protection, the impulse is to place his hand on the other individual's shoulder in a gesture of protection. Almost everyone has observed that when two individuals quarrel and a third one intervenes, They usually turn against him, and he gets from both of them the negative which he tried to destroy in them. Why? Because he unconsciously diverted their mutual negative passion of hatred and revenge in his direction. They were so full of negative vibrations that they needed mutual demagnetization, which they sought in quarreling. A third party intervening at that moment directs the negative currents of both toward that new and open channel. Therefore, if one does not know how to approach a case like that, it is better to abstain from interference and let people settle their own differences as best they can. All they need in such a case is demagnetization, and after they obtain it they feel more at ease, no matter if the price they paid for it was some physical, mental, or moral bruises. The pressure which they could not bear is gone, and they feel at ease again. Those few main instances cited above explain clearly how the magnetic current works through our human emotions. All prominent and successful men and women of days gone by and of the present time have been consciously or unconsciously using the magnetic force in their lives. They possess an extraordinary vitality, which attracts everybody and everything to them. They have what is called a magnetic personality. Such a personality, such vitality and power, can be developed by everyone through the regular use of the star exercise and the continual contact with life energy through the mental method. By and by one becomes a living magnet, the power of which is ever increasing because of its incessant use. The ancient sages and prophets knew a great deal about that magnetic force, and most of the so-called miracles performed by them were accomplished by the use of that force. Its widest application it had in healing, where life energy was used most successfully to dispel all kinds of physical ailments. The methods sometimes employed were very extraordinary, and the following examples will give an idea of the results obtained. When crossing the Red Sea, Moses, who was well versed in all knowledge, prayed to God, that is, made the mental contact with life energy, and then extended his hand, holding his rod, toward the Red Sea. The magnetic current flowed through his hand and rod with irresistible force into the surrounding atmosphere, and there created a great disturbance. As a result, a strong wind arose and pushed back the waters of the sea, which was shallow at that particular place, and the Israelites walked on the bottom of the sea to the other side. Once safe across, Moses again made the contact, stretched forth his rod, and directing the magnetic force of the universe through it, he re-established normal atmospheric conditions. The wind subsided, and the waters, no longer pushed back by its pressure, resumed their proper position, and incidentally drowned the Egyptians, who were following them across the bottom of the sea. Elijah, when bringing back to life the son of the poor widow in whose house he stayed, obviously used no other power than the magnetic force. Thrice after having prayed, that is, made the contact with the universal life energy, did he throw himself on the body of the dead boy, so as to send from all his body the life current into the body which was bereft of it. And after the third time, the dead boy became alive. Through the use of the magnetic current did Jesus still the storm on the Galilean Sea. And when he was touched in the throng by a woman suffering from a blood issue, his words, "I felt a virtue coming out of me," so showed that it was the magnetic current, the universal life energy flowing through him, which did the healing. The magnetic current can be easily concentrated also in inanimate objects. Those objects can be so charged with magnetic force that they become themselves dynamic centers from which the force is flowing and carrying its healing vibrations to all those who happen to contact them. Thus are scientifically explained those healing properties which some of the so-called miraculous shrines throughout the whole world are supposed to possess, either by itself or through conscious direction of it. The magnetic force was concentrated in those shrines, and they became real healing mediums. The healings performed by them were not what one would call faith cures. Of course, faith was also an important agent, as it prepared the people to receive the healing. But the healings themselves were performed by the magnetic force which was actually emanating from them. It has been observed that water especially possesses to an extraordinary degree the faculty of storing in itself a great deal of magnetic force, and then giving it out when needed. Thousands of years ago, that property was known to the ancients, especially in Egypt, India, and other southern countries where water, because of the great heat, is already a strong vivifying agent and has been used for healing purposes. Most of their temples had sacred pools, the waters of which were blessed, or, in other words, were magnetized. Those seeking relief from their ailments plunged into those pools, and many of them emerged sound and wholesome. Even in our own days, and such pools are still in use in India, and the healing properties of their waters, sometimes even polluted with all kinds of germs of infectious diseases left by those who had sought relief there, are not thereby impaired. The magnetic force in the water is the stronger, and is able to heal in spite of the deadly germs. One can make some interesting experiments oneself in that direction. For instance, magnetize the water of the bath, or that to wash the face, or to drink. That magnetization is called by the Hindus pranization, from the Hindu word prana, or life force. All one needs to do is to make the mental contact with universal energy while standing in front of the water to be magnetized, with the hands extended toward it and the fingertips pointing directly to it, and remain in that position for a few minutes. The life energy will flow through the hands into the water and will charge it with magnetic force. That water can then be used, and the benefit derived from it is considerable. Those who suffer from insomnia can, by the same method, magnetize their pillows, sheets, and covers, and enjoy a sound, healthy sleep as the result of it. Infinite are the applications for that force. In the fourth lesson will be given special detailed instructions concerning its use in daily life, in business, in general work, in healing, in achieving success and prosperity, and in overcoming old age through the regeneration of the cells of one's body. Lesson 2. 1. What are vibrations? Certain oscillatory rhythmic movements of primal energy. 2. How many kinds of vibrations are there in the Absolute? One kind, the spiritual vibrations. 3. How many kinds of vibrations are there in the present state of human consciousness? 3 kinds, magnetic, mental, and spiritual. 4. Why are there 3 kinds of vibrations? Because of the triune state of the present human consciousness, through which everything is perceived as a threefold ray. 5. Which vibrations are the easiest to perceive and to handle? The magnetic, or life vibrations, because they are the immediate object of our understanding and are fundamental. 6. From where do these magnetic vibrations emanate? From their eternal source, called universal energy. 7. Does that mean that magnetic vibrations are also a kind of spiritual vibrations? Yes, they are, only of a slow rate. 8. What are the methods by which universal life energy can be contacted? Mental and physical methods. 9. What is the formula used for mental contact? I am one with universal life energy. It is flowing through me now. I feel it. 10. Why is it necessary to make the contact with universal life energy on the mental plane? Because the contact was once lost on the mental plane and must therefore be re-established on that plane. 11. Has that contact ever been lost on the spiritual plane? No. 12. What is the physical method of contacting universal life energy? The so-called star exercise. 13. What is the star exercise? It is a certain posture, the object of which is to fill the whole body and especially the solar plexus with universal life energy. 14. What is the solar plexus and where is it located? It is a network of nerves, called solar because they radiate. It is located in the dorsal or anterior part of the abdomen. It is also called the abdominal brain. 15. How is the star exercise performed? Stand relaxed, feet spread apart, arms outstretched on a level with the shoulders, palm and fingertips of right hand turned downward, and palm and fingertips of left hand turned upward, slightly curved, as if to receive the current of universal life energy that will flow quite noticeably through it into one and through the solar plexus to any weak part of the body, strengthening the same and flowing out through the right hand. 16. Why is it called the star exercise? Because it is a posture based on the geometrical figure of the pentalpha, or pentagram, the symbol of the present fifth race, the fifth day of creation, the fifth period of humanity's evolution. 17. Should one observe any cardinal point, such as turning to the east, or looking toward the North Star? No. One must not limit oneself to the Earth's magnetic currents. 18. Does one need to believe in the actual flow of universal life energy during the star exercise? No. Universal life energy flows into the human body in obedience to physical laws. 19. Does this exercise influence everyone alike? No. It may cool one and warm another, but it gives to each just what is needed, when it is needed and where it is needed. 20. What are the qualities of universal life energy? It is self-governed and basically harmonious. 21. Has universal life energy some other qualities? Yes. It has two fundamental qualities, referred to in the first lesson. They are motion and attraction. 22. What is the practical value of those qualities of universal life energy in daily life? Their practical value resides in the fact that because of those qualities, universal life energy can be used automatically without any special mental concentration or application of willpower. Magnetic vibrations always produce constructive and harmonious results because of their inherent qualities. 23. How often and for how long should one perform that star exercise? For beginners, twice a day, in the morning and in the evening, from 3 to 5 minutes each time, and when never fatigued, but never too soon after a meal. 24. Why is the magnetic force without evil, constructive and harmonious? Because it proceeds as a pure stream from its infinite and eternal source, primal energy. 25. Can it become evil? Yes, thought can make it inharmonious by clothing it with a negative mental film. 26. Does the magnetic current attract or repel? It attracts, but by using willpower and thought it can be made repellent. 27. How do the magnetic vibrations affect the brain? They stimulate all the brain cells, thereby increasing the activities of the brain. 28. How often should one make the mental contact with universal life energy? As often as there is any sort of work to be done, in any activity, physical, mental, or emotional. 29. What is the practical result of frequent mental contact with universal life energy? All work will become easy because of the increasing capacity for manifesting life energy. 30. Can universal life energy be used in business and both? Yes. By making the mental contact with universal life energy every time one handles a business proposition or some articles, so as to make the force flow through one during the transactions. 31. What result will this obtain? Success. 32. How can one develop a magnetic personality? By becoming a living magnet through continual contact with universal life energy. 33. What causes most of the physical discomfort and pain? Excessive accumulation or congestion of magnetic currents in certain parts of the body. 34. How can such congestion be relieved? By demagnetizing the congested spot through laying on of hands. 35. What are emotions? They are manifestations of magnetic vibrations of different traits which, when accumulated in various parts of the body, create their congestions that can be relieved only by demagnetization of that part. Such demagnetization is achieved through a kiss, a handshake, laying on of hands, kind words, looks, thoughts, etc. Congestions of negative vibrations are ignorantly relieved by fist blows, harsh words, looks, thoughts, etc. 36. What is magnetic chemicalization? It is a reaction following magnetic vibration. Somewhere in the body of the patient there may be negative thought germs, discordant, but almost unnoticeable because possessed of little life force. When the magnetic current arouses them, they become alive, inflate to the limit, then burst. After they burst, they are utterly destroyed and the patient is healed. 37. What is the explanation of success in life? The use of universal life energy. 38. Is it always used consciously? No. Sometimes consciously, most times unconsciously. 39. What power was used to accomplish most of the miracles in the past and is now employed in the so-called faith cues? The magnetic force. 40. Are the terms universal life energy, life force, magnetic force, magnetic current, magnetic vibrations synonymous? Yes. 41. Why is there more than one term? To secure emphasis of one or the other of the qualities implied in the terms. Energy refers to power, life to the quality of motion, and magnetic to the quality of attraction, inherent in universal life energy.